So today we're going to look at what is a catch. And this is a topic that kind of has controversy at all levels. Each level of football kind of has their own definition of a catch and what constitutes the completion of a catch. And it's one of those things too that before replay and the prevalence of video, we all kind of thought we knew. But now with high definition, slow-mo, videos everywhere, hundreds of angles, what's a catch kind of gets, I don't want to say muddied, but while the picture on the TV gets clearer, in our minds it's a little muddier. So there have been additions to the rule or additional interpretations of a rule. Try to figure out what exactly a catch is. So that's what we're going to look at today in a more from the high school lens, what National Federation defines as a catch, and then what we as high school officials want to look at what a catch is. So as always, we want to look at the rule just in its entirety. This is Rule 2.4, only place where it really talks about a catch. And that is, a catch is the act of establishing player possession of the live ball, which is in flight, and first contact on the ground inbounds, while maintaining possession of the ball or having the forward progress of the player in possession stopped while the opponent is carrying the player who is in possession and inbounds. The last part just kind of says where if they establish the process of a catch in bounds, then they're carried out of bounds, you still have a catch. But we look at the first part, and it's player possession of the live ball, which is in flight. So it's just basically a pass. And then first contact on the ground inbounds while maintaining that possession or having the forward progress stop. And this is where we kind of start to get muddied. You have possession, but it really goes beyond possession as to maintain possessions. And that's where you have to define what is maintaining possession. That's what we're going to look at. I like to look at control. You have to have possession and control of a forward pass in order to complete the process of a catch. The first aspect we look at, and this is if they're falling, they have to survive the ground. So they have to maintain possession and return to the ground inbounds with one or both feet. Remember, in high school we can have 1 foot. If the receiver returns to the ground landing or falling on any body part other than 1 or both feet, he must survive the associated momentum slide and associated defensive actions. Momentum slide on slick or wet artificial turf, it could be several yards, it could be a couple of yards, and although rare, possession of the ball has to be maintained through the whole slide while not allowing the ball to become loose on the ground. And that's kind of where you get some confusion too. A lot of people think the ball touches the ground while in possession is automatically incomplete. That's not necessarily the case. It can touch the ground, but does it become loose when it touches the ground? So does it touch the ground, but does the player maintain possession when it touches the ground? That's, that's where the judgment comes in. But let's start with a slide. If you have mud or artificial turf, he could catch it, land, slide 10 yards. He has to maintain possession of that throughout that entire slide. He has to maintain possession if he hits the ground and rolls several times. Has to maintain possession while he rolls. It's possible for a receiver to come to the ground, bobble the ball while on the ground. The ball never touched the ground. The receiver then be able to accomplish what the covering official expects. We'll get to the next slide on what they expect, but that just says when they land they can bobble. They don't have to have pure possession when they land on the ground. They can catch in the air, have possession, come to the ground, bobble the ball. But if while they're bobbling, if they then maintain that possession before it hits the ground, control it, then it would still be a complete pass. But if they bobble it, and before they regain possession or take control of it, it hits the ground, then you have an incomplete pass. Again, it's possession and control. So this is what officials were looking for. Football appropriate actions and moves. So after coming down with one of both feet in bounds, the receiver must begin to turn upfield, begin evasive action to avoid contact or change direction, all while maintaining possession. Failure to do so, or if the official has doubts, the pass is incomplete. This is where the offensive player must demonstrate control after possession. So when we talk about possession and control, this is where that control comes into effect. The receiver should be able to hand or toss the football to the covering official or maintain possession until a covering official requests the ball. It is possible a receiver may continue to lay on the ground for a period of time, then rise, and you lay the ball down or hand or toss to the official. Last paragraph just means the player has to have such control of the ball after the act that they can hand you the ball, or they can lay it on the ground themselves. They have to lay it on the ground, not they get up and the ball's on the ground. If you see them lay it on the ground, some kind of control of the ball, or they can control what happens to it. Like I said, it could be hand you the ball, toss you the ball, or lay it on the ground themselves, whatever. As long as they demonstrate possession and control. You can even kind of be like a baseball umpire on a swipe tag. If they're laying on the ground, just say, show me the ball. And they can immediately show you the ball, and then they have control of it, possession. There's a catch. The first paragraph is kind of where we get to, you hear a lot of 2 steps or timing. There's no steps or timing when we look at the catch. It's just if they're turning upfield, if they're trying to avoid contact, do they have control of the ball when they're doing it? You know, I like to look at, is the ball still moving? So they kind of catch it across their body and they're bringing it in across their body. They kind of tuck it in so they can go upfield. To me, that ball has to be tucked in to demonstrate control and a catch. So if they catch it across their body and they're moving across their body and they get hit while they're still moving the ball across the body, ball pops out, then it's not a pass. Or it's not a complete catch. If it hits the ground, it's incomplete. Now, it pops up in here, and the defensive player catches it before it hits the ball, before it hits the ground, or another offensive player, then it's their ball. But in order to complete the process of the catch, they have to demonstrate their control on the ball. So it just has to be tucked in or something to demonstrate they had control where the ball is going. Alright, so let's take a look at some catches, no catches, and then particularly I want to look at some where the goal line is involved, because there appears to be some kind of misconception with officials that when the goal line's involved, as soon as there's possession across the goal line, then the play's over and we have a touchdown. And that's not the case. But we'll look at that here in a minute. Let's just look at this first one. This is just surviving the ground. Remember, the receiver has to be able to essentially hand you the ball. So this would be an example of not surviving the ground. Therefore, you have an incomplete pass. If you ask for the ball and they can't give it to you, or they can't stand up and hand you the ball, then you have no catch. And again, here, timing, possession, all that doesn't matter. They have to survive the ground. You can see, ball's on the ground, so it did not survive the ground, therefore it is a no catch. And this one is just more possession and control. They gotta have control of this ball. It's hard to tell. This ain't hard to tell what's happened to the ball. It's really, only that field judge right there can see for sure. But if he doesn't, possession is one thing. 2 hands on the ball, yeah, that's possession. They have that control, and that control is, can they freely move it? Do they have enough control to bring it into their, like I said, their arm, tuck it in? And that's all judgment. Here, I don't think this is enough control. So this should have been an incomplete pass. I don't know if the end zone angle gives you much clarity either, but here's a more recent one. And this is the same thing too. This is a good call for incomplete pass. They start turning upfield. They don't have control enough to tuck it in. And that's an incomplete pass. You see the ball still kind of moving across his body. He never really tucks it in, so there's no control. So this is an incomplete pass. There's possession, but there's no control because, boom, there it comes out. This is a good call for incomplete pass. His next few are going to be the one where the goal line comes into play. So we want to look at that. So even though there is possession across the goal line, he has to complete the process of this catch. Alright, so even though you have possession across the goal line, that doesn't mean play's over and it's a touchdown. There has to be the completion of the catch. So there has to be surviving the ground, he has to control it, all that. He still has to complete the process of this catch. And there's the ball comes out. There's no completion there. And then just from a mechanics angle, we want the back judge to be on the end line here. It's always better, if you're a back judge, it's always better to err on the side of getting on the end line. You can always move up. And the end line, you're the only one on the end line. We have field judge, side judge covering the goal line. The end line is all you. So you always, if you're questioning where you should be on the goal line, the end line, always go to the end line first. And then you can work your way back if you need. So you don't want to be in the middle of the end zone making a call. But other than that, he doesn't survive the ground. He goes to the ground, ball pops out. This is an incomplete pass. Okay, here's another one where similar situation, but now we have a foul that's going to cause the ball to come out. And that doesn't matter. We have a foul here for targeting, which I think is a good call. But see, the ball comes out, so you still have an incomplete pass. It doesn't matter if there's a targeting foul that possibly caused the ball to come out. We don't know definitively that that foul caused the ball to come out. All we know is the ball came out, did not complete the process of the catch. So this is an incomplete pass as well. It is not a touchdown and targeting. This is just targeting, incomplete pass. Alright, you still have to survive the ground and complete the process. And this is an example of just kind of a correct call. So this one, there you have it. They have possession, now they have possession, touchdown, cross the goal line. So even though they're then driven out, as long as he holds on to that ball, you have a touchdown. He could be tackled here and driven to the 10-yard line. As long as he holds on that ball, we're good. So this is just an example of correct call. See, he catches the ball. The ball is across the goal line when he has possession and he touches down. See? So we got 1 foot in, he's got possession of the ball. maintains it all the way throughout. So this is a good call. And the correct call. An example of completing the catch beyond the goal line and it's still counting. So, alright, I hope that cleared some things up for you. Try to keep this short and concise again. There's a lot of film we could have used for catch no catch, but we kind of wanted to really focus on ones involved in the goal line, because that's kind of where the more confusion comes in. I think we have whether or not a catch or catch in the field of play is good or not. We've harped on it for a few years now, so I think we're good there. But just want to focus more on the goal line play. So again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you found some knowledgeable content. If you haven't liked us, you can like it, subscribe. It really helps us out. So thank you.